Hi, I'm Les Lutz, Director of Horticulture at Heritage Museums and Gardens.
And I'm Allie Mulrow, Manager of Visitor Experience at Heritage Museums and Gardens, located in historic Sandwich on Cape Cod. One of the things that makes Heritage so unique is our renowned collection of rhododendrons brought here by Charles Owen Dexter, which you're going to be learning a little bit about today. Hi there, today we're going to be talking about the history of Charles Owen Dexter at Heritage Museums and Gardens. So Les, could you tell me, who is Charles Owen Dexter?
Okay, well, Charles Owen Dexter bought this property in 1921. He was from New Bedford. He was a textile manufacturer, and he, at that point, was told he was 59 years old. He was told that he wasn't in the best health and he should do something fun for the rest of his life. So he came to Sandwich and he bought a farm and he began breeding rhododendrons.
So Heritage has all of these rhododendrons thanks to him. What other legacies does Heritage have that he would have left here on the property?
Well, a lot of the trails that you see, if you come to Heritage and walk around, you'll see lots and lots of trails, and the majority of them are filled with and lined with rhododendrons. And many, many of them were actually developed and planted by Charles Dexter in the 1920s through 1940s when he was here.
So in 2021, it sounds like we're celebrating his 100th anniversary being on the property.
2021, yep.
And is that why the rhododendrons around are so big, because they were planted 100 years ago?
Well, there are a lot of reasons why they're so big. Obviously, the fact that many of them are 100 years old or close to it. And even the younger ones are at least 50 years old now. So you can think about it, 50 years for a rhododendron, even at 6 inches a year, that adds up to a lot of growth. But a lot of the plants that he used in his breeding when he was working with these plants and trying to develop new plants, many of the parent plants were actually very large plants, and they would grow to be 20 feet tall or more.
Oh, okay. So he is creating all of these rhododendrons while he's here. You said he wasn't in the best of health, so he probably wasn't here for very long.
1921 through 1943.
Ah.
So he ended up living a lot longer than he or anyone else expected.
Oh, well, good for him.
Yeah.
So I guess doing what you love is going to keep you alive here at Heritage.
Apparently.
Why are his hybrids something that we should care about?
Well, in 1921, when he bought this property and decided to start working on rhododendrons, there really were not very many that were hardy in New England that actually were attractive. There were plenty of plants that were hardy, but they didn't really look that great. They had small flowers, they had no fragrance, they didn't have much color. So you can tell by the plant we're standing in front of, this is Grace Seabrook, which is a Dexter hybrid, that he managed to find and develop and breed plants that had color. So.
And when you're doing hybridization of these plants, can you explain the process just briefly to us?
Sure. You take the pollen from a parent plant and you put it on the female plant that you want to cross, and 3 to 4 months later you have seed.
Awesome. So something that he was doing a lot of here at Heritage for sure. I know we have thousands of plants at Heritage. And, but I also knew that his reputation wasn't so great at the end of his life. So what happened?
Well, for one thing, he did a lot of hybridizing. For somebody that didn't think he was going to live very long, he did an awful lot of hybridizing, because it takes 5 years from seed before you can expect to see a flower. So it's a long-term process. But he was making thousands of crosses every year. And there are literally tens of thousands of plants planted throughout Heritage, but he also gave many of these away. But another factor with Dexter and his reputation is the fact that he didn't keep records. So we kind of know what some of the parents were by the traits of the plants that he produced, and because we have a couple of parent plants that we know were parent plants that are still alive on the property. But we know that there are plenty of other plants that he used that he never kept records on.
If we have so many plants here today, we know where the parent plants are, how did Heritage end up with all of these plants back on the property?
Well, there have been several attempts over the years to restore some of his reputation and what he did. There was a study group in the 1950s and 60s that traveled around the country and located a lot of the plants that he had sent away and given to friends and relatives and other public gardens. And then they brought them back here and they evaluated them, and they actually named many of them. There are about 180 or so named plants now, cultivars, most of which are planted in the garden around us right now. And Mr. Dexter only actually named 6 plants during his lifetime.
Oh, wow.
So of that 180 or so, only 6 were his that he named. So that group did a lot of that work. And currently, in 2021, Heritage is undertaking a whole new project to research what Dexter did and to try to further our knowledge base, and also then to bring back many of the plants that were not brought back during that period of the 1950s and 60s.
So you're saying Heritage might get even more rhododendrons in the future?
That's the plan.
That sounds like a really wonderful opportunity. Well, thank you all for joining us and learning a little bit about Charles Owen Dexter. Thanks for joining Les and I today to learn a little bit more about our rhododendron collection at Heritage Museums and Gardens. To learn a little bit more, please follow us on Facebook or check out our website at heritagemuseums.org.
Happy gardening.